Hare Krishna, welcome back to the daily readings of Srila Prabhupada's books. Here in the live studios in Hythe, Kent, southeast England, right on almost on the edge of the English Channel. On clear day you can see France on the other side of the English Channel. Gradually the earth is maybe the human beings are starting to become a little more active again, unlocked. But we're flying through the spiritual sky, reading the Caitanya-caritämrta together. We welcome you, all of you out there in cyberspace, with affection, hoping that you're relishing. This is a very intense part of the Caitanya-caritämrta, where our consciousness is being expanded and purified before we get into the actual pastimes of the Lord, understand the philosophical underpinnings and getting a deeper realization of who Krishna is, who Lord Chaitanya is, who Lord Nityänanda is, and what they're actually doing for us behind the scenes. We can't see them doing it, but they're behind the scenes, taking care of us and giving us all facility to fulfill our desires for being here in this material world. We owe everything to them. So the more we know that, and the more our natural love for them grows, the more we'll be able to relish and awaken our desire to go there, to the spiritual sky, and get out of this dukkhalayama shasvatam, this material world which is certified by Krishna as a temporary place full of miseries, where even struggle is seeming to be pleasure, but it's not actually pleasure. We have no idea yet what real pleasure is, but we can begin to taste it by learning the art of relishing the Caitanya-caritämrta. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, the Caitanya-caritämrta was he considered it his life and soul. His deepest inspiration came from hearing the Sri Caitanya-caritämrta, as did our dearest Srila Prabhupada. So I'll read our little invocation. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, after ending a lecture in Munjer, in Bengal, West Bengal, right on the bank of the Ganges, there was an earth tremor, and that earth tremor caused mild flooding, means of the adjacent Ganga just came up, and then very soon receded. After that, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said these words: in due course, Mahapralaya, devastating floods, will inundate the entire universe. If you attempt to survive by swimming in that deluge, then do not neglect to take hold of Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and Sri Caitanya-caritämrta. Or if you cannot hold all three, then release Bhagavad Gita. If necessary, you may also relinquish Srimad Bhagavatam, but under no circumstances release your hold on Sri Caitanya-caritämrta. For if this one book remains, then the flood can do no actual damage, because after it has subsided, the message of Shastra can be revived from Sri Caitanya-caritämrta alone, it being the essence of all Shastra. Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jai Nityänanda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityänanda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. So we're working our way through this wonderful 5th chapter, delineating the glories of Lord Nityananda Ram and how he expands himself into all the Vishnu expansions which have who have something to do with the creation and maintenance and destruction of the universe. We've heard about Mahasankarshan, Narayana, in the spiritual world, predominating deity there, in the Vaikuntha planetary system, and how he expands himself into Mahavishnu, how Mahavishnu glances at the material energy and impregnates the material energy with the individual living beings, atomic particles of himself. From the last creation, they've all been residing in his body, and now they're being re-injected into the material energy. And then that, with the combination of his injecting time through that same glance, then it begins to transform. And when the individual universes, seeds of those universes, come from the hair holes of his body, then they expand until they are like a football, a huge expanded football with the coverings. And inside the space, he enters each one of them as Garbhodakashai Vishnu. And then from his lotus, first of all, it's dark and there's no facility, so he himself perspires so profusely that it fills up half the universe with water. And there he makes his abode on the Garbhodak ocean. And Sheshanaga, in his form, Garbhodakashai Vishnu lies down on that bed of Sheshanaga. And then from his navel, lotus stem grows, and Lord Brahma, Aja, appears on the golden lotus, huge golden lotus, which contains all of the blueprint of and all the energy that's necessary to create the universe. And through Lord Brahma's body, the engineer of the universe. So here now we come to a stage where Kshirodakashai Vishnu is being explained. Actually, Kshirodakashai Vishnu, Garbhodakashai Vishnu, Mahavishnu, they're the same person, same personality, just expanded into different features. So we're starting with text 117 of Ädi-lilä, Sri Caitanya-caritämrta. Say that again? Text 154, excuse me. Oh. Text 154, sorry. Yeah, we've passed that phase now. Now we're in Goloka Vrindavan. Text 154. Krishna and Balaram present themselves as younger brother and elder brother, but in the scriptures they are described as the original Supreme Personality of Godhead and His expansion. 155. Brahmadi Murtishu Kala Niyamena Tishtan Nanavataram Akarod Bhuvaneshu Kintu Krishnak Swayam Sambhababat Paramak Pumanyo Govindamari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. So after all those Vishnu expansions have been described and how Lord Nityananda or Lord Balaram is expanding into his Vishnu forms, and then the universes and everything are created now. He's calling us back to the original, to explain the original forms. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who by his various plenary portions appears in the world in different forms and incarnations, such as Lord Rama, but who personally appears in his supreme original form as Lord Krishna. Purport. This is a quotation from the Brahma Samhita 539, 156. Lord Chaitanya is the same Lord Krishna, and Lord Nityananda is Lord Balaram. Lord Nityananda fulfills all of Lord Chaitanya's desires. 157. The ocean of Nityananda's glories is infinite and unfathomable. Only by his mercy can I touch even a drop of it. Text 158. Please listen to another glory of his mercy. He made a fallen living entity climb to the highest limit. 159. To disclose it is not proper, for it should be kept as confidential as the Vedas. Yet I shall speak of it to make his mercy known to all. 160. O Lord Nityananda, I write of your mercy out of great exultation. Please forgive me for my offenses. 161. Lord Nityananda Prabhu had a servant named Sri Minikhitam Das, who was a reservoir of love. 162. At my house there was Sankirtan day and night, and therefore he visited there, having been invited. 163. Absorbed in emotional love, he sat in my courtyard, and all the Vaishnavas bowed down at his feet. 164. In a joyful mood of love of God, he sometimes climbed upon the shoulder of someone offering obeisances, and sometimes he struck others with his flute or mildly slapped them. 165. When someone saw the eyes of Minikhitam Ramdas, tears would automatically flow from his own eyes, for a constant shower of tears flowed from the eyes of Minikhitam Ramdas. 166. Sometimes there were eruptions of ecstasy, like kadamba flowers, on some parts of his body, and sometimes one limb would be stunned, while another would be trembling. Whenever he shouted aloud the name Nityananda, the people around him were filled with great wonder and astonishment. One respectable Brahmana named Sri Gunarnava Mishra was serving the deity. When Minikhitam was seated in the yard, this Brahmana did not offer him respect. Seeing this, Sri Ramadas became angry and spoke. Here I find the second Romaharshan Sutta, who did not stand to show honor when he saw Lord Balaram. 171. After saying this, he danced and sang to his heart's content. But the Brahmana did not become angry, for he was then serving Lord Krishna. Purport. Minikhitam Ramdas was a great devotee of Lord Nityananda. When he entered the house of Krishnadas Kaviraj, Gunarnava Mishra, the priest who was worshipping the deity installed in the house, did not receive him very well. A similar event occurred when Romaharshan Sutta was speaking to the great assembly of sages at Naimisharanya. Lord Baladev entered that great assembly, but since Romaharshan Sutta was on the Vyasasan, he did not get down to offer respect to Lord Baladev. The behavior of Gunarnava Mishra indicated that he had no great respect for Lord Nityananda, and this idea was not at all palatable to Minikatam Ramdas. For this reason, the mentality of Minikatam Ramdas is never deprecated by devotees. 172. Sorry. At the end of the festival, Minikatam Ramdas went away, offering his blessings to everyone. At that time, he had some controversy with my brother. 173. My brother had firm faith in Lord Chaitanya, but only a dim glimmer of faith in Lord Nityananda. 174. Knowing this, Sri Ramdas felt unhappy in his mind. I then rebuked my brother. These two brothers, I told him, are like one body. They are identical manifestations. If you do not believe in Lord Nityananda, you will fall down. 176. If you have faith in one, but disrespect the other, your logic is like the logic of accepting half a hen. 177. It would be better to be an atheist by slighting both brothers than a hypocrite by believing in one and slighting the other. 178. Thus Ramadas broke his flute in anger and went away. And at that time, my brother fell down. 179. I have thus described the power of the servants of Lord Nityananda. Now I shall describe another characteristic of his mercy. That night, Lord Nityananda appeared to me in a dream because of my good quality in chastising my brother. 181. In the village of Jamatapur, which is near Naihati, Lord Nityananda appeared to me in a dream. Purport. There is now a railway line to Jamatapur. If one wants to go there, he can take a train on the Katwa railway line and go directly to the station known as Salara. From that station, one can go directly to Jamatapur. 182. I fell at his feet, offering my obeisances, and he then placed his own lotus feet upon my head. 183. Arise, get up, he told me again and again. Upon arising, I was greatly astonished to see his beauty. 184. He had a glossy blackish complexion, and his tall, strong, heroic stature made him seem like Cupid himself. 185. He had beautifully formed hands, arms and legs, and eyes like lotus flowers. He wore a silk cloth with a silk turban on his head. 186. He wore golden earrings on his ears, and golden armlets and bangles. He wore tinkling anklets on his feet, and a garland of flowers around his neck. 187. His body was anointed with sandalwood pulp, and he was nicely decorated with tilak. His movements surpassed those of a maddened elephant. 188. His face was more beautiful than millions upon millions of moons, and his teeth were like pomegranate seeds because of his chewing bittle. His body moved to and fro, right and left, for he was absorbed in ecstasy. He chanted, Krishna, Krishna, in a deep voice. 120. His red stick moving in his hand, he seemed like a maddened lion. All around the four sides of his feet were bumblebees. His devotees, dressed like cowherd boys, surrounded his feet like so many bees, and also chanted Krishna, Krishna, absorbed in ecstatic love. Krishna, 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 Krishna. 192. Some of them played horns and flutes, and others danced and sang. Some of them offered betel nuts, and others waved chamar fans about him. 193. Thus I saw such opulence in Lord Nityananda's Sarup. His wonderful form, qualities, and pastimes are all transcendental. 194. I was overwhelmed with transcendental ecstasy, not knowing anything else. Then Lord Nityananda smiled and spoke to me as follows. O my dear Krishna Das, do not be afraid. Go to Vrindavan, for there you will attain all things. After saying this, he directed me toward Vrindavan by waving his hand. Then he disappeared with his associates. 197. I fainted and fell to the ground. My dream broke, and when I regained consciousness, I saw that morning had come. 198. I thought about what I had seen and heard, and concluded that the Lord had ordered me to proceed to Vrindavan at once. 199. That very second, I started for Vrindavan, and by His mercy, I reached there in great happiness. Jai Jai Nityânanda, Nityânanda Rama, Yan Hara Kripate Paya, Vrindavan Dham. All glory to Lord Nityânanda Balaräma, by whose mercy I have attained shelter in the transcendental abode of Vrindavan. Jaya Jaya Nityânanda, Jaya Kripa Maya, Yaha Hare Paino Rupa Sanatanashraya. All glory to the merciful Lord Nityânanda, by whose mercy I have attained shelter at the lotus feet of Sri Rupa and Sri Sanatan. By his mercy, I have attained the shelter of the great personality, Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, and by his mercy, I have found the refuge of Sri Sarup Damodar. Purport. Anyone desiring to become expert in the service of Sri Sri Radha and Krishna should always aspire to be under the guidance of Sarup Damodar Goswami, Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, and Raghunath Das Goswami. To come under the protection of the Goswamis, one must get the mercy and grace of Nityananda Prabhu. The author has tried to explain this fact in these two verses. By the mercy of Sanatan Goswami, I have learned the final conclusions of devotional service, and by the grace of Sri Rupa Goswami, I have tasted the highest nectar of devotional service. Purport. Sri Sanatan Goswami Prabhu, the teacher of the science of devotional service, wrote several books, of which the Brihad Bhagavatamrita is very famous. Anyone who wants to know about the subject matter of devotees, devotional service, and Krishna must read this book. Every time I read this, I get ecstatic because I was able to assist in the editing of this book, and the auto commentary. Well, we'll read a little further. Sanatana Goswami also wrote a special commentary on the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, known as the Dashama Tippani, which is so excellent that by reading it, one can understand very deeply the pastimes of Krishna in his exchanges of loving activities. This translation of and commentary of Brihad Bhagavatamrita, the English part, the commentary, Digdarshani, the auto commentary of Sanatana Goswami, text by text, of his work. That's the only auto-commentary like that of all the Goswami's literatures, and it had never been translated into English, ever. So Gopi Puranananda Prabhu, my dear friend, and he translated it in such a wonderful way that it won the accolades of and praise of the top authority in Gaudiya Vaishnava literature at the time, Professor Joseph T. O'Connell, who also wrote the foreword to this book. And I highly recommend that everyone read this book, because Prabhupada said right here, you must read it. When he wrote this, we didn't have a translation of it. So Prabhupada predicting the appearance of Priya Bhagavatamrita in a sense from Gopi Puranananda Prabhu. And it was so wonderfully done. I was assisting in the editing, but Jai Dvaita Maharaj was training me how to edit, and also he did the polish edit. And it's such a wonderful book. All of my devotee friends who are scholars and great devotees, great preachers, they all say the same thing. It's the gold standard in terms of English. Another famous book by Sanatana Goswami is the Hari Bhakti Vilas, which states the rules and regulations for all divisions of Vaishnavas, namely Vaishnava householders, Vaishnava brahmacharis, Vaishnava vanaprasthas, and Vaishnava sannyasis. This book was especially written, however, for Vaishnava householders. Srila Raghunath Das Goswami has described Sanatana Goswami in his prayer, Vilapa Kushumanjali, verse 6, where he has expressed his obligation to Sanatana Goswami in the following words: Vairagya Yug Bhakti Rasam Priyatnayar Apayanan Mam Upabipsum Andam Kripam Buder Yak Paraduka Duki Sanatanastam Prabhum Ashrayami. I was unwilling to drink the nectar of devotional service, possessed of renunciation, but Sanatana Goswami, out of his causeless mercy, made me drink it, even though I was otherwise unable to do so. Therefore, he is an ocean of mercy. He is very compassionate to fallen souls like me, and thus it is my duty to offer my respectful obeisances unto his lotus feet. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami also, in the last section of the Caitanya-caritämrta, specifically mentions the names of Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, and Srila Jiva Goswami, and offers his respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of these three spiritual masters, as well as Raghunath Das. Srila Raghunath Das Goswami also accepted Sanatana Goswami as the teacher of the science of devotional service. Srila Rupa Goswami is described as the Bhakti Rasacharya, or one who knows the essence of devotional service. His famous book, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, is the science of devotional service. And by reading this book, one can understand the meaning of devotional service. Another of his famous books is the Ujjvala Nilamani. In this book, he elaborately explains the loving affairs and transcendental activities of Lord Krishna and Radharani. 204. All glory to the lotus feet of Lord Nityânanda, by whose mercy I have attained Sri Radha Govinda. Purport. Srila Narottam Das Thakur who is famous for his poetic composition known as Prarthana, has lamented in one of his prayers, "When will Lord Nityânanda be merciful upon me so that I will forget all material desires?" Srila Narottam Das Thakur confirms that unless one is freed from material desires to satisfy the needs of the body and senses, one cannot understand the transcendental abode of Lord Krishna, Vrindavan. He also confirms that one cannot understand the loving affairs of Radha and Krishna without going through the direction of the 6 Goswamis. In another verse, Narottam Das Thakur has stated that without the causeless mercy of Nityananda Prabhu, one cannot enter into the affairs of Radha and Krishna. 205. I am more sinful than Jagai and Madai, and even lower than the worms in the stool. 206. Anyone who hears my name loses the results of his pious activities. Anyone who utters my name becomes sinful. 207. Who in this world but Nityananda could show his mercy to such an abominable person as me? Because he is intoxicated by ecstatic love and is an incarnation of mercy, he does not distinguish between the good and the bad. He delivers all those who fall down before him. Therefore, he has delivered such a sinful and fallen person as me. Although I am sinful, and I am the most fallen, he has conferred upon me the lotus feet of Sri Rupa Goswami. I am not fit to speak all these confidential words about my visiting Lord Madan Gopal and Lord Govinda. Lord Madan Gopal, the chief deity of Vrindavan, is the enjoyer of the rasa dance and is directly the son of the king of Vraja. He enjoys the rasa dance with Srimati Radharani, Sri Lalita, and others. He manifests himself as the Cupid of Cupids. Wearing yellow garments and decorated with a flower garland, Lord Krishna, appearing among the gopis with his smiling lotus face, looked directly like the charmer of the heart of Cupid. This is a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam 10:32-2, text 215. With Radha and Lalita serving him on his two sides, he attracts the hearts of all by his own sweetness. 216. The mercy of Lord Nityananda showed me Sri Madan Mohan and gave me Sri Madan Mohan as my Lord and Master. Text 217. He granted to one as low as me the sight of Lord Govinda. Words cannot describe this, nor is it fit to be disclosed. On an altar made of gems in the principal temple of Vrindavan, amidst a forest of desire trees, Lord Govinda, the son of the king of Vraja, sits upon a throne of gems and manifests his full glory and sweetness, thus enchanting the entire world. 200. By his left side is Srimati Radharani and her personal friends. With them, Lord Govinda enjoys the Rasa-lila and many other pastimes. Lord Brahma, sitting on his lotus seat in his own abode, always meditates on him and worships him with the mantra consisting of 18 syllables. Purport. In his own planet, Lord Brahma, with the inhabitants of that planet, worships the form of Lord Govinda, Krishna, by the mantra of 18 syllables, Kling, Krishnaya, Govindaya, Gopi, Jana Balabhaya, Swaha. Those who are initiated by a bona fide spiritual master and who chant the Gayatri mantra 3 times a day know this Ashta Dashakshara, 18-syllable mantra. The inhabitants of Brahmaloka and the planets below Brahmaloka worship Lord Govinda by meditating with this mantra. There is no difference between meditating and chanting, but in the present age, meditation is not possible on this planet. Therefore, loud chanting of a mantra like the Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, with soft chanting of the Ashta Dashakshara, the mantra of 18 syllables, is recommended. Lord Brahma lives in the highest planetary system, known as Brahmaloka or Satyaloka. In every planet, there is a predominating deity. As the predominating deity in Satyaloka is Lord Brahma, so in the heavenly planets, Indra is the predominating deity. And on the sun god, Vivaswan, is the predominating deity. The inhabitants and predominating deities of every planet are all recommended to worship Govinda, either by meditation or by chanting. Text 222. Everyone in the 14 worlds meditates upon him, and all the denizens of Vaikuntha sing of his qualities and pastimes. The goddess of fortune is attracted by his sweetness, which Srila Rupa Goswami has described in this way. Purport. Srila Rupa Goswami in his Laghu Bhagavatamrita has quoted from the Padma Purana, where it is stated that Lakshmi Devi, the goddess of fortune, after seeing the attractive features of Lord Krishna, was attracted to him, and to get the favor of Lord Krishna, she engaged herself in meditation. When asked by Krishna why she engaged in meditation with austerity, Lakshmi Devi answered, "I want to be one of your associates, like the gopis in Vrindavan." Hearing this, Lord Krishna replied that it was quite impossible. Lakshmi Devi then said she wanted to remain just like a golden line on the chest of the Lord. The Lord granted the request, and since then, Lakshmi has always been situated on the chest of Lord Krishna as a golden line. The austerity and meditation of Lakshmi Devi are also mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam 10:16-36, where the Nagapatnis, the wives of the serpent Kaliya, in the course of their prayers to Krishna, said that the goddess of fortune Lakshmi also wanted his association as a gopi and desired the dust of his lotus feet. Text 224. My dear friends, this is a wonderful verse. Smiram Bhangi Traya Parichitam Shachi Vishtirna Drishtim Bangshi Nyastad Dadakishalayam Ujjalam Chandrakena Govindakyam Haritunum Itak Keshitir Topakante Ma Pekshishtash Tavayadi Sake Bandhusange Stirangaha. My dear friend, if you are indeed attached to your worldly friends, then do not look at the smiling face of Lord Govinda as he stands on the bank of the Yamuna at Keshigat. Casting sidelong glances, he places his flute to his lips, which seem like newly blossomed twigs. His transcendental body, bending in 3 places, appears very bright in the moonlight. Purport. This is a verse quoted in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.2.239 in connection with practical devotional service. Generally, people in their conditioned life engage in the pleasure of society, friendship, and love. This so-called love is lust, not love. But people are satisfied with such a false understanding of love. Vidyapati, a great and learned poet of Mithila, has said that the pleasure derived from friendship, society, and family life in the material world is like a drop of water, but our hearts desire pleasure like an ocean. Thus the heart is compared to a desert of material existence that requires the water of an ocean of pleasure to satisfy its dryness. If there is a drop of water in the desert, one may indeed say that it is water, but such a minute quantity of water has no value. Similarly, in the material world, no one is satisfied in the dealings of society, friendship, and love. Therefore, if one wants to derive real pleasure from within his heart, he must seek the lotus feet of Govinda. In this verse, Rupa Goswami indicates that if one wants to be satisfied in the pleasure of society, friendship, and love, he should not seek shelter at the lotus feet of Govinda, for one who takes shelter under his lotus feet will forget that minute quantity of so-called pleasure. One who is not satisfied with that so-called pleasure may seek the lotus feet of Govinda, who stands on the shore of the Yamuna at Keshigat or Keshigata. One who is not satisfied with that so-called pleasure may seek the lotus feet of Govinda, who stands on the shore of the Yamuna at Keshitirtha or Keshigat in Vrindavan, and attracts all the gopis to his transcendental loving service. 225. Without a doubt, he is directly the son of the king of Braja. Only a fool considers him a statue. 226. For that offense he cannot be liberated. Rather, he will fall into a terrible, hellish condition. What more should I say? Purport. In his Bhakti Sandarbha, Jiva Goswami has stated that those who are actually very serious about devotional service do not differentiate between the form of the Lord made of clay, metal or stone or wood, and the original form of the Lord. In the material world, a person and his photograph, picture, or statue are different, but the statue of Lord Krishna and Krishna himself, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, are not different, because the Lord is absolute. What we call stone, wood, and metal are energies of the Supreme Lord, and energies are never separate from the energetic. As we have several times explained, no one can separate the sunshine energy from the energetic sun. Therefore, material energy may appear separate from the Lord, but transcendentally it is non-different from the Lord. The Lord can appear anywhere and everywhere because his diverse energies are distributed everywhere like sunshine. We should therefore understand whatever we see to be the energy of the Supreme Lord, and should not differentiate between the Lord and his archa form made from clay, metal, wood, or paint. Even if one has not developed this consciousness, one should accept it theoretically from the instructions of the spiritual master, and should worship the archamurti, or form of the Lord in the temple, as non-different from the Lord. The Padma Purana specifically mentions that anyone who thinks the form of the Lord in the temple to be made of wood, stone, or metal is certainly in a hellish condition. Impersonalists are against the worship of the Lord's form in the temple, but there is even a group of people who pass as Hindus but condemn such worship. Their so-called acceptance of the Vedas has no meaning, for all the acharyas, even the impersonalist Shankaracharya, have recommended the worship of the transcendental form of the Lord. Impersonalists like Shankaracharya recommend the worship of 5 forms, known as Panchopasana, which include Lord Vishnu, Vaishnavas, which include Lord Vishnu. Vaishnavas, however, worship the forms of Lord Vishnu in his varied manifestations, such as Radha Krishna, Lakshmi Narayana, Sita Rama, and Rukmini Krishna. Mayavadis admit that the worship of the Lord's form is required in the beginning, but they think that in the end everything is impersonal. Therefore, since they are ultimately against the worship of the Lord's form, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has described them as offenders. Srimad Bhagavatam has condemned those who think the body to be the self as Bhauma Ijadi. Bhauma means earth and Ijadihi means worshipper. There are two kinds of Bhauma Ijadi: those who worship the land of their birth, such as nationalists who make many sacrifices for the motherland, and those who condemn the worship of the form of the Lord. One should not worship the planet Earth or land of his birth, nor should one condemn the form of the Lord, which is manifested in metal or wood for our facility. Material things are also the energy of the Supreme Lord. 227. Therefore, who can describe the mercy of the lotus feet of Him, Lord Nityânanda, by whom I have attained the shelter of this Lord Govinda? 228. All the groups of Vaishnavas who live in Vrindavan are absorbed in chanting the all-auspicious name of Krishna. 229. Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityânanda are the life and soul of those Vaishnavas who do not know anything but devotional service to Sri Sri Radha Krishna. 230. The dust and shade of the lotus feet of the Vaishnavas have been granted to this fallen soul by the mercy of Lord Nityânanda. 231. Lord Nityânanda said, in Vrindavan all things are possible. Here I have explained his brief statement in detail. I have attained all this by coming to Vrindavan, and this was made possible by the mercy of Lord Nityânanda. Purport. All the inhabitants of Vrindavan are Vaishnavas. They are all auspicious because somehow or other they always chant the holy name of Krishna. Even though some of them do not strictly follow the rules and regulations of devotional service, on the whole, they are devotees of Krishna and chant his name directly or indirectly, purposely or without purpose. Even when they pass on the street, they are fortunate enough to exchange greetings by saying the name of Radha or Krishna. Thus, directly or indirectly, they are auspicious. The present city of Vrindavan has been established by the Gaudiya Vaishnavas since the 6 Goswamis went there and directed the construction of their different temples. Of all the temples in Vrindavan, 90% belong to the Gaudiya Vaishnava sect, the followers of the teachings of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityânanda, and 7 temples are very famous. The inhabitants of Vrindavan do not know anything but the worship of Radha and Krishna. In recent years, some unscrupulous so-called priests known as caste Goswamis have introduced the worship of demigods privately, but no genuine and rigid Vaishnavas participate in this. Those who are serious about the Vaishnava method of devotional activities do not take part in such worship of demigods. The Gaudiya Vaishnavas never differentiate between Radha and Krishna and Lord Chaitanya. They say that since Lord Chaitanya is the combined form of Radha Krishna, he is not different from Radha and Krishna. But some misled people try to prove that they are greatly elevated by saying that they like to chant the holy name of Lord Gora instead of the names of Radha and Krishna. Thus they purposely differentiate between Lord Chaitanya and Radha Krishna. According to them, the system of Nadia Nagari, which they have recently invented in their fertile brains, is the worship of Gaura, Lord Chaitanya, but they do not like to worship Radha and Krishna. They put forward the argument that since Lord Chaitanya himself appeared as Radha and Krishna combined, there is no necessity of worshipping Radha and Krishna. Such differentiation by so-called devotees of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is considered disruptive by pure devotees. Anyone who differentiates between Radha Krishna and Gauranga is considered a plaything in the hands of Maya. I repeat that. Anyone who differentiates between Radha Krishna and Gauranga is to be considered a plaything in the hands of Maya. There are others who are against the worship of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, thinking him mundane. But any sect that differentiates between Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Radha Krishna, either by worshipping Radha Krishna as distinct from Lord Chaitanya, or by worshipping Lord Chaitanya but not Radha Krishna, is in the group of Prakrita Sahajas. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, the author of Sri Caitanya-caritämrta, predicts in verses 225 and 226 that in the future, those who manufacture imaginary methods of worship will gradually give up the worship of Radha and Krishna, and that although they will call themselves devotees of Lord Chaitanya, they will also give up the worship of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and fall down into material activities. For the real worshippers of Lord Chaitanya, the ultimate goal of life is to worship Sri Sri Radha and Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Text 233. I have described my own story without reservations, the attributes of Lord Nityânanda, making me like a madman, force me to write these things. The glories of Lord Nityananda's transcendental attributes are unfathomable. Even Lord Shesha, with his thousands of mouths, cannot find their limit. Shri Rupa Raghunatha Padi Yara Ash, Caitanya-caritämrta, Kahi Krishna Das, praying at the lotus feet of Sri Rupa and Sri Raghunath, always desiring their mercy, I, Krishna Das, narrate Sri Caitanya-caritämrta, following in their footsteps. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports to Sri Caitanya-caritämrta, Ädi-lilä, 5th chapter, describing the glories of Lord Nityânanda. Balaräma. Jai Nityânanda Ram ki jai, Sri Sri Radha Krishna ki jai, Sri Krishna Kaviraj Goswami ki jai, Archamurti of the Lord in all its forms, Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol, Hare Krishna. What a wonderful chapter. Hare Krishna. Now we have been introduced to the ecstasies of worshipping Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityânanda, and Radha and Krishna. Okay, we'll stop our reading there for tonight and beg the mercy of the Vaishnavas for their reflections, discussions, and whatever else they want to do. Hare Krishna. They're all lying on the ground, rolling around, the dust of the nectar flowing from Caitanya-caritämrta. Okay, what do we got?
This is from Bhakti Paramananda Pete.
Bhakti Paramananda Pete, where the heck are you?
He says, Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Maharaj. What an amazing chapter. Please, can you tell me, where is it possible to read the book / commentary you mentioned, Dasama Tipani?
Well, I read it, but the commentary I was talking about was the commentary of Brihad Bhagavatamrita. The auto commentary of Sanatana Goswami to Brihad Bhagavatamrita is called, just now it slipped my mind the name. There's a name of it. Digdarshani. The Digdarshani commentary of Brihad Bhagavatamrita. It's published. It's a BBT book, Brihad Bhagavatamrita. You can get it through Krishna.com or KrishnaLibraryServices.com. Was translated by Gopi Paranananda Prabhu and edited by myself, and then polished, edited by Jai Dvaita Swami. And I learned the art of editing on the job. It was very, very, very intense service. It took us 5 years to edit that book. And it was a great thrill, and Gopi Paranananda Prabhu asked me to do that service. I was really reluctant because I didn't have so much experience, although I liked literary work, but I was not so experienced to do something like that. But anyway, he insisted, and over the years I got to know him very, very well, and I got to learn just how expert Jai Dvaita Swami is. Anybody who's actually worked with him knows he's superlative. And this is why Srila Prabhupada had so much faith in him that he made actual positive comments about him personally in 1970, 71, 72, 75, 76, and 77. All the way through those years, he was commenting from time to time and appreciating Jai Dvaita Maharaj's expertise and saying that he had full faith in him. Whatever he did, he accepted. And one day, when they were doing the Transcendental Marathon to finish the 15 volumes of Caitanya-caritämrta and 2 volumes of the 5th canto of Bhagavatam in 2 months. Never been done before in the history of publishing anywhere in the world. And they did it. And Prabhupada promised them, because they thought it was impossible. But anyway, they accepted the challenge. But they asked Prabhupada to stay with them so that they could be inspired. So Prabhupada would regularly come into the offices of the BBT where they were doing the work, the editorial department in particular, and the place where the artists were doing the paintings. And the 2 months they did all this, including the paintings. And one day, Prabhupada, Devamrita Maharaj tells this story because he was there. He was copy editor at that time. And Jai Dvaita Maharaj was the chief English editor. And Prabhupada came in. Everyone stood up in ecstasy. Prabhupada sat down on Jai Dvaita's chadar, because they didn't have desks and chairs and all that in those days. He just sat down on the chadar and he announced to everyone, Jai Dvaita means parampara, and then got up and walked out. And all the devotees were in complete ecstasy. And one day during that time, Jai Dvaita Maharaj brought in a stack of edits that he wanted to propose for the 1st canto of Bhagavatam, because there was a lot of mistakes in the first version. And so he brought it, and then They gave it to Prabhupada. And Devamrita Maharaj told me that he and everyone else, including Jayadvaita Maharaj, was very nervous because they thought he was going to go through every single verse, every single change, or edit, and revision. And Prabhupada sent it back with the cover letter, in that famous letter where he said, whatever Jayadvaita Swami says, I accept. I have full faith in him. So I worked with him for 7 years, intimately, editing Priya Bhagavatamrita and Sri Krishna Lila Stava, and the first volume of the Sat Sandarbhas, the Tattva Sandarbha. So I'm a lucky person. Fallen, but lucky. So you can get that book, Sri Brihad Bhagavatamrita, and that auto commentary, verse by verse, by Sanatana Goswami, translated into the most delightful English you'll ever read. And relish. Hare Krishna.
This is also from Bhakti Paramananda.
Bhakti Paramananda.
He says, hearing you read these amazing books every day inspires me so much and helps me so much to expand my understanding of Krishna and his expansions. And I look forward every day to seeing and hearing from you. Thank you so much. May Srila Prabhupada bless your seva. Hare Krishna.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you, Bhakti Paramananda. Pete. Bhakti Paramananda Pete.
He also says he's in Rochester, Kent.
Rochester, Kent? Really? Well, I hope when we get no longer locked down, maybe we can get together. Hare Krishna.
This is something from Rati Manjari.
Haribo Rati.
She says, Dear Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances.
Jai Ho.
Indeed, a very wonderful chapter. I have a question. When the living entities are lying inside Mahavishnu, are they in any way aware of being with the Lord? And when they are injected in the material world once again, are they aware of kind of leaving their relationship with the Lord? Or is all this happening to the jivas in an unconscious state?
They're not aware. When they're inside the body, they're in sleep. It's like deep sleep. Like you go to sleep at night and you become unaware of your existence in the material plane, and you just dream. They're in deep sleep. And then you go into deep sleep and you don't think anything, you forget everything. And during that time you're in deep sleep. So the conditioned souls are there, but they have with them the resultant unfulfilled desires. It's like a package that accompanies the conditioned soul. Then when the conditioned souls come out, that package, very, very subtle, it's a subtle form, subtle body, created of material desires. And they come out, and therefore they're put into the places where they're supposed to be, according to their unfulfilled material desires in the universe, according to that package. That it's called a Sarupa, but it's not its original Sarupa. It's the Swabhav. It's called the Swabhav. And all they're aware of is, their bodies and their minds and their subtle bodies, and then they just learn from there, like a baby learns from when you were a baby. You don't know anything, and you learn gradually what your name is, and what your nature is, and what your talents are, and then live and try to enjoy, separate from Krishna, completely forgetful. depending on the living being, the animal, the type of body they have, very forgetful. But when they're in the human form or in the demigod form, then they have more consciousness. They have the capacity to hear and remember things, but they can't hear and remember things unless they hear it from liberated souls. We're so fortunate to be able to hear what we just heard. We're so fortunate. Even if we don't fully realize it, we're understanding something. It's such good fortune. So we should live in gratitude, affection and gratitude, and make that the cornerstone of our house of bhakti. And build that house as tall as we can. Putting the foundation as deep as we can in the regulated principles of devotional sadhana bhakti. Hare Krishna.
Rati says, thank you. It is so nice to be able to ask you such a wise variety of questions and get such deep answers. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna, it's my pleasure. You're engaging me in devotional service in a wonderful way. Thank you so much.
There's something from Bhakta Charlie.
Hey, Bhakta Charlie, how's Wales? You guys still out there doing your thing?
He says, Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you again for your reading. Amazing. I have one question. I was wondering, should we only depend on the mercy of the Vaishnavas for our advancement in spiritual life and in life in general? Should we think that the mercy of the Vaishnavas is all we are made of? As recently I have felt this to be true, much more so than before. Does that make sense? Thank you.
It makes absolute sense. We are how else would we know unless we had met a Vaishnava? You got a book, or you somehow or other met a Vaishnava, got some prasadam, and by the touch of those transcendental entities, transcendental energy coming from pure Vaishnavas, we automatically, not automatically, but it requires some effort on our part, but still, just by the association, sadhu sangha shastra sarvakoi, lavamatra sadhu sangha sarva siddhi hoy. Just a moment's association with the pure Vaishnava can give you perfection in devotional service. So yes, we are made of the mercy of the Vaishnavas. It is Lord Chaitanya's prayer, or Lord Krishna's prayer, in the 9th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 9.4.64. And that there's a group of prayers, not prayers exactly, but statements by Vishnu, who's talking to Durvasa Muni. And there he describes how the mercy of the Vaishnavas, how attached he is to his Vaishnava devotees. And in the 11th canto he says that it is his desire that the world be purified by the lotus feet of the dust of his pure devotees. He becomes the devotee of his devotee. The devotees who preach, they become so dear to Krishna that he follows behind them. He follows them. He becomes the devotee of his devotee. And they become so dear to him, and as they're walking, as he's walking behind them, the dust of his feet gets blown in front of the devotees as they're walking, and they pick up that dust, and that dust from their feet, which is the dust of the lotus feet of the Lord, purifies the three worlds. So just keep hearing these books, Bhakta Charlie, cover to cover. Don't skip around. There may be a time that will come when you can skip around, but at this stage, just keep hearing again and again, cover to cover, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Caitanya-caritämrta, and Nectar Devotion, Krishna book, and everything will be revealed to you in time. What else? Okay, 20 minutes after 8, we're going to take a break now. Thank you very much, everybody, for being with me through this wonderful 5th chapter of the Caitanya-caritämrta Ädi-lilä. It's very wonderful. You can understand the glories of the Lord through this chapter, and we can become humble like Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. So we are able to get the mercy of Lord Nityänanda. And when we get the mercy of Lord Nityänanda, then our material desires are finished. Then we can study the Shastras properly and get the mercy of Goswamis and Lord Nityänanda, Lord Chaitanya, and then finally Radha and Krishna. There's somebody else out there saying something?
Rati had a question, but she's saying now that she can ask it tomorrow.
No, go ahead.
She says, is there any particular way described on what the faith of a sahaj, on what the faith is of a sahaja devotee?
It's sentimental. It's weak and sentimental. They take things cheaply. They think that they can. One of the symptoms is that they concoct things. They make things up. Like they put Lord Chaitanya or Lord Nityänanda in the center of the rasa dance and worship like that. They think because he's Krishna, so therefore they put him in their worship, either on the altar or when they do plays or whatever they do. They put Lord Chaitanya in the center of the gopis and pretend like he's enjoying with the gopis. This is a great offense because Lord Krishna is the only enjoyer of the gopis. Okay, so you say, well, yeah, but Lord Chaitanya is Krishna. Yes, but he's Krishna, but he's in the mood of Radharani. He's in the mood of a devotee. So you don't disrupt the ecstasies of Lord Chaitanya trying to taste the nectar of the mood of Radha and the gopis by putting him in the center of the gopis as Krishna. It's called rasa basa. It's a apa sampradaya. So they don't. Not only do they not advance, but they fall down. They fall into hellish activities as a result of these offenses.
She's asking how can they be purified? Is there a standard process on how they can?
If they keep chanting, and they don't stop chanting for 700 births, Prabhupada said that, 700 births at least. They're better than the Mayavadis, because the Mayavadis don't believe in Krishna. They don't think that Krishna is actually spiritual. So there's some benefit. They're chanting Krishna's names, but they're offenders. And unless you have pure devotion, then you can't see the difference. So therefore, it's much better if we stay fixed at the lotus feet of the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, and which means to follow the way they worship, not make things up, not just make things up whatever we think or feel we do. Our prayers should be according to the authorities. They should be, even when we come to the point of making spontaneous prayers, they should be according to certain principles. They should be done in a certain mood and then according to certain principles. they were exemplified by the prayers of Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami in this chapter, at the end of this chapter, how he feels about himself. He does not feel himself elevated. These people usually think that they're high and others are lower, and they're proud of their so-called devotional service. That's all we can go into that today. We can talk more about that later. Okay, Sri Caitanya-caritämrta ki jai. Samaveta Bhakta-vrinda ki jai. Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. Thank you very much. We'll see you tomorrow night. Same time, same station, same place. And we'll start the 6th chapter of Ädi-lilä, describing the glories of Advaita Acharya, incarnation of Lord, in the form of a devotee of Lord Chaitanya. Hare Krishna. See you tomorrow.